Ready, set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50, the 10, the 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tay Von Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride!
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
Leave no doubt tonight. They shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night.
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another live stream here on the Country Roads Webcast, September 14th edition. And no, this isn't our pit game review podcast. We'll have that coming at you tomorrow. That'll be releasing. But I had to come on here and share some thoughts. You know, we'll still save the stats and players of the game and all that for our review podcast. But there was no way I couldn't come on here and not talk about this game. I almost did it last night after I got home late from Morgantown, but it would have been like 1 a.m. And I figured, hey, nobody's going to be on to watch this. I was like, well, wait, do it in the morning. I can't be on here long because I do have to jet off to work. But I had to come on here and talk about this because I think this was a game that meant a lot to me personally. And we'll get into why and some of that and some what the reasons why I feel. Does it change what happened the last time Rich Rod was here and coached in this game? Of course not. That's always going to be there. That happened, and nothing will change that. But it does feel like a bit of a cleansing, like a renewal of this program, like something we all really needed, the fan base needed. I think you see in Rich Rod's reactions after the game that he needed. And for me personally, I even had some moments at the game that made it feel even more that way, which I wanted to talk about here. And that's kind of what I just wanted to dedicate this to. And I will get to some of your all's comments and questions throughout here as well. So be sure and throw those in there. And I do appreciate you guys tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. If you're on Facebook or Twitch, be sure to come over to the YouTube side, subscribe so you get all our content we put out weekly, pretty much something every day throughout WVU game week here on the YouTube side of things. And those of you that watch on YouTube, whether you're in here live, getting a chance to chat, or you're watching after the fact on a replay, take a second, hit that thumbs up button, help us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm. And be sure to subscribe here to the channel if you're a WVU football fan. So start this thing off. I guess we got to go back, right? Got to go back to the last time, unfortunately, right? And I was a freshman in high school in 2007, and I had really just started following WVU heavy probably 2-3 years prior to that. I think I went to my first game 03 or 04, late 05, started getting into it more. And then 06 is the first time I can remember watching every game the entire season, starting to study the roster. And then from then on, it was on. I mean, all throughout high school, everyone would come up to me and say a random player's number because they knew I'd be able to tell them the player's name, his height, weight, where he's from, all that from the time I was a freshman in high school on. So that freshman year was awesome because we started the year number 3 in the country. Me and my other friend, I was on the basketball team with, we were really good buddies, and he and me were huge WVU fans. So the whole year we were saying, West Virginia's got a chance to be a national title team this year. Remember, they played South Florida. We were supposed to watch the game together, didn't get a chance to. We lost. Remember, we both said that's why. But I remember after that game, sitting in a computer class we had with another friend who wasn't a WVU fan, and he was doubting us. And we were literally going through the WVU schedule game by game, saying, look, we can beat this team, we can beat this team, and saying like how we can win out. And then we went to the top 25 poll, and we showed, the teams that were ahead of us, and we pointed out, hey, this game they could upset them, this game they could upset them, going through there. And I'll be damned if, half of those games that we said probably weren't upsets. We said Illinois over Ohio State, Arkansas over LSU. I mean, so much so I remember we were both late for basketball practice during that Arkansas LSU game that we needed that upset in to give us a chance to be ranked number 2, that we showed up late for basketball practice. Coach wasn't even mad because he knew what was going on too. He said, I already know what you guys were watching and stuff. So then it ended up like, oh, it's all perfect. Everything's setting up perfectly. All the upsets happen. Of course, we're balling out, beat UConn 66-21, sets up that game. Like I said, I was a freshman in high school, and of course that game, I'll never forget the date, December 1st, 2007. Worst day of my life. I've always considered it that to this point for sure. You know, I mean, there's some other days that are up there too, but definitely sports wise, by far the worst day of my life. And I even remember that point, you know, because I was back in the day, used to make Christmas lists, you know, for your parents and stuff. And I don't even think I made one that year because the only thing that I'm worried about, the only thing I want for Christmas is boom, just put us in the natty. And so you can imagine, of course, we all know what happened there. And of course, we'll never forget the score because Pitt will never let us forget the score. They had shirts at the game and stuff. More on that in a moment. Of course, they still wear the 13-9 shirts to score that game, which is everything went wrong that could. And after that game, I was as distraught as anyone else. I remember just after it ended, you know, because throughout the game, you just had hope. You're like, we're finally going to score. We're going to score. And we didn't. And I just remember running into my bedroom, collapsing face down on my bed, literally crying my eyes out for about 2 straight hours. I remember my mom coming in trying to console me. And I remember I was like, no, I'm not going back to school. I'm dropping out of high school. I'm not playing basketball anymore. I didn't want to exist at that point right there. You know, that's how bad it was. And so obviously we got to go there to move to here, because throughout this off season, that was the one thing that I kept pointing out throughout this process that was so crazy when I was covering the coaching search process and Rich Rod potentially coming back. And the more and more, of course, he was my favorite candidate. And, you know, when it looked more and more like it was going to be him, that's the one thing I kept pointing out is like, man, you can't tell me it's not potentially fate that the year we could hire Rich Rod, his first year here, is the last time that we'll play Pitt for 3 or 4 years, right? And it's at home and the game's being played on September 13th, 9/13. I'm like, that's fate right there. And we all had this game circled, whether it was Rich Rod or not. But once that happened, and the date that it was taking place on, we all had it circled. I think the nation kind of had it circled a little bit, so much so we almost got game day. And, you know, when that didn't happen, the loss to Ohio, throughout the week, everyone was doubting the team. I mean, we were, you know, skeptical as well. Of course, we picked the Mountaineers to win. We're never going to pick them to lose in the backyard brawl. But once I got to Morgantown, so this is where we come to yesterday, come to the game, the 108th backyard brawl. We got there fairly early. We left about, 5:36 in the morning from down here in Mercer County, got up there by noon. And from the time, well, actually we got up there by, I think 10:30, 11, I can't remember, but we ate Cracker Barrel before we headed over towards the stadium and Almost Heaven Village and all that stuff. Anyways, went to a few stores, all that stuff. But once we got into Morgantown, there was just a feel in the air, man. And I remember, before the game, once we got in the stadium, sitting there and had some friends messaging me about the game and stuff, about an hour or so till kickoff. I'm just hanging out, watching the warm-ups, all that, taking things in as I like to do once they open the gates. And one of my friends was messaging me and saying, man, we're going to lose by 30. And I remember I just messaged him back and I'm saying, I don't know, man. There's a different feel up here. It was packed outside, from the moment we got here early this morning, great vibe. And sometimes you can feel that in the air. I'm like, I think there might be some magic in store for this one. I'm like, it just feels different here today. And I think that alone is something that we've been missing as well. Just that feel of, hey, something special could happen. And everyone's into the game. The place was packed out. Obviously, it's the backyard brawl. You're going to have that. But just there was something different about this game going on. Which brings me to my personal kind of story, of course, going back to that, talking about and tying that back into the 07 13-9 game in multiple ways here throughout this game, that it was just like signs that, oh man, this is some type of cleansing or renewal for you. So first of all, the first thing that happens, we'll lead it off with this, and this will kind of bookend my story here. Sitting there, stadium starting to load in, bands warming up, Pitt people are rolling in, and I sit in my seats. I'm on seat 1. I'm on the end. So, everybody kind of files in up the steps past me in like row 5, seat 1 there in the section 203. And so people just kind of file past me, and there's Pitt fans rolling in, and I see one guy in a 13-9 shirt, and I saw somebody say something to him about it. I couldn't see what they said, down there in the front row. And then when he came past me, I already knew what I was going to say. I'm like, that was 20 years ago, man. And he stops and he's like, oh, come on, man. No, man, it's the date. It's today's date. And I'm like, yeah, it's 20 years ago, whatever. He goes on by. I don't think nothing of it, but I clocked it. And keep that in mind because, of course, game progresses and several things in this game made me flash back to that game, unfortunately, the 07, that 13-9 game, because how does this thing start off? We get a good drive, and what happens? Our kicker, Cade Hensley, who looked great in the spring, has been consistent all season, misses a field goal. And I'm like, oh, no, not again. Not again. So, we had that. And then at one point in the game, of course, things started going better. And I think that's one thing that was crucial that we needed to mention is we did get off to a great start, great first half, kept the crowd in at the entire time. And then we were, playing well up and through that third quarter. And then when Pitt finally scored, guys, I had to take a picture of the scoreboard because let me show it to you guys here. Because prior to them, they had a 2-point conversion. Looked like we knocked them out of bounds. They reviewed it and overturned it. But prior to that, this was the score in the third quarter, 14-9. And I'm like, if this holds and it's like we won up 13-9, I'm like, that's even more of a renewal. And so, I was thinking that as well. And that was tying into it. But anyway, game progresses and gets to the point we're down 10 in the fourth. And, for whatever reason, you got this feeling in your gut, like especially, it gets later in the game, sun's starting to go down. We know about the magic at night, especially the night games under Rich. We hadn't had that in a long time. So maybe this is a sign that that's going to change as well with this one in and up at night. But as it progressed, you were down and I was hanging my head at a couple points. I'm not going to lie to you, especially when we got down 10, we needed a stop to get the ball back. And they are down 7, needed a stop to get the ball back. And on their drive, they started off breaking a tackle, breaking a run. Then we get a personal foul penalty, add 15 to it. And they're right on the cusp of field goal range already. And our defense really had to bow their back the end. So at that point, I was hanging my head a little bit, but defense holds up, gets the stop. Can't credit Zach Alley enough. And we get the ball back and start putting a drive together. And I remember, the 3rd and 9. I was worried. I was like, oh man, this is it right here, hanging my head again. And then boom, seam ball to Grayson Barnes. And you're like, something's happening here. You just get a feeling. And then again, it's like 3rd and 7 and nothing's there. Looks like Nico's going to be sacked and he's able to just get it out just in time to Clay Ash, who gets the first down. And then you go down and score. And you're like, oh man, okay, something's happening here. We're going to take this thing to overtime. And this place is absolutely rocking. I'm talking the environment there, the loudest since 2011 LSU, if you're asking me, especially that fourth quarter. And then when you get into overtime. And then when we get into the overtime period, I think yet again, we see something that shows another renewal, another cleansing, another shift of this program. And that it feels like, man, we're really, I don't know if you can say we're back yet because we got to see how things pan out, but it feels like as a fan base being tied into this program, as the mentality of the team, everything seems back. Another way you can tie that in is one thing everyone knocked on Neil Brown in that was 22 backyard brawl, 4th and 1, game on the line, punts the ball, right? How about overtime, 4th and 1, near the goal line, tie game? You could kick a field goal, go up 3. You trust Zach Alley's defense to probably hold them and force them to kick another field goal. But no, we're not that team anymore. It's hard edge mentality. We're going to bring 9 O-linemen on the field and get this first down on 4th and goal. And then we're going to run it down your throats, punch it into the end zone, and go win the football game because we got the hard edge mentality. We're more conditioned than you in the off season. We've worn you down throughout the game with our up-tempo style. And just even that right there showed another shift in the program. So all that happens. We go on, win the game. Pandemonium. I mean, once we get to stop, and throughout it, I'm usually a guy that's like, we should take the ball. I'd like to have the ball first. I'd be on defense first in overtime. But the way this game unfolded, I'm like, I actually like us being on offense first because if we score, Zach Alley's defense is going to get the stop we need. And on that 3rd down, when they got that sack, that place went nuts. I mean, insane decibel levels. It was raucous in there, and that was awesome to see as well. And then at that point, after they get the sack on that 3rd down, it's 4th and goal or whatever it was, from the 30 or 40, 4th and 20 something. And so Pitt fans already started falling out before the 4th down incompletion that ended the game. And this is where we book in my story and where I'm talking about this being a cleansing, like completely all the way around for me. And like I said, does it change 07? No, but man, I feel renewed. I feel like that weight's been lifted a little bit because after that 3rd down sack, the place is going bananas. Remember the guy from the beginning of my story with the 13-9 shirt? And he told me, it's the date. I started thinking about that at that point because I see Pitt fans rolling out, and I'm like, this guy's going to walk by. I'm going to clock him when he walks by. He walks by, and I flag him just the time before he rounds the bend to go out there into the corridor or whatever. And I'm like, hey man, you're right. That is the date, 9/13. I said, and I'll always remember that. And he just nods his head in acknowledgement. He said, 9/13, you'll always remember that. And I'm like, yep, I will. And I think at that point, I tried to tweet out, get the 9/13 shirts ready now, hashtag Sweet Revenge. I don't think it's sent till later because you know how phones are sometimes in that stadium. But man, at that point, I felt renewed. Like you just get that swelling up in your throat and your chest. And, then we get the 4th down and completion. The place goes wild again. Biggie, they play the Biggie, then they play Country Roads. And, just those moments and everything and seeing how excited Rich Rod was and all of that. I'd be lying if I said I didn't shed some tears on that one, just the way that felt. And so I had to come on and just reflect on that because I know there's a lot of you guys that finally felt like I did with this game, on 9/13, everything that played into it and coming back and getting the win the way that we did as well. It feels like a cleansing, like a renewal of this program moving forward to me. And tears were shed. And then it was straight celebration, throughout Country Roads, singing it with everyone. And then after Country Roads plays, I get ready, I'm like, all right, let's roll out. And I start to make my way out. And then all of a sudden you hear dun 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 dun, and everyone gets a loud pop again, super loud, and you run back in because Sweet Caroline's coming on, and playing that and chanting "Eat Chip Hill" was an awesome moment as well. I don't think I've ever seen a post-game celebration quite like that one, where it's just packed out and everyone stays in there like 30 minutes after the game. And to me, that's why I said all-time atmosphere, top 5 for me, best since 2011 LSU. And just everything that tied into it. I'm trying not to get choked up here again now because it felt like a renewal, 100% for me personally, especially with some of those moments and the way it tied in, even with the 13-9 shirt guy that was in my section that I had a chance to talk to pregame and postgame. And then afterwards, seeing some of the videos on the ride home with Rich Rod, the way he was celebrating. I've never seen a coach get a standing ovation in a postgame press conference. This was special. This meant a lot. And that's why I had to come on and talk about it. And like I said, this isn't our review podcast. That'll be coming tomorrow. But this was just, had to come on and reflect about that awesome atmosphere. Shout out to everyone that went to the game. Shout out to Mountaineer Nation for showing up. Shout out to the team for knowing what this meant to everyone and laying it all out there on the field. No Jaheim White, no Jaden Bray, no Chase Wilson. Preston Fox gets injured throughout the game. The quarterbacks could have hung their head, as they're rotating through them, especially Nico. And shout out to Nico being clutch. That's what I texted Steven because he's been a big proponent of Nico. Did it just like he did in high school. And you can't doubt his clutchness for sure. You've seen it at multiple levels now. But, man, was that amazing for this program, for this fan base. And I feel renewed. I feel cleansed. I feel like we can now move ahead to better and brighter days. Sweet revenge on 9/13, guys. And I just had to come on here and tell my story about that a little bit and everything because it's amazing and it feels really good. And I'm still basking in it today, and I'll be basking in it all day, taking in other people's videos and stories and such. And I just wanted to share mine. Like I said, I won't be on here long. That's pretty much all I wanted to say, but I wanted to get some of your all's comments and questions before I wrap up here. If you've got any in there, throw them in here before I wrap up. Appreciate you guys so much for coming on here and hearing my spiel and me just kind of speak from the heart on this one because it really meant a lot to me. Flashing back to that 13-9 game, now coming full circle nearly 20 years later when I'm in my 30s to 9/13, getting that sweet revenge with Rich Rod back, seeing him celebrate, getting teary-eyed just as I was and celebrating just as hard. It was a special day in Morgantown and a special moment for this fan base. Appreciate you guys tuning in on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. Those of you on Facebook or Twitch, come over to the YouTube, subscribe here. And if you're here on YouTube watching live or on a playback, hit the thumbs up button. We really appreciate that. Like I said, you guys in the chat, I'm going to catch up on some of your comments here in a minute as well. And if you're listening on the audio side, you can leave us a rating. That helps as well. Probably throw this one up there on the audio side for a bonus episode as well. May as well after this one, man. But had to come on here and talk about my emotions and everything after this one because it's special to me, and I'm sure it's special to a lot of you guys as well. But let me get to the chat here, get to some comments on this one. WVU Wildman 82 channel member here. How about them Mountaineers? Eat shit pit. Hey, that's right. That's right. Hey, that's why they handed out some koozies pregame. I had to put that one in the background. That's how special this game was. You got to commemorate it forever. So that koozie's in the background now. Really special game, WVU Man 82. And how about them Mountaineers indeed? And appreciate you being a channel member. We love our channel members here. You've seen it scrolling across the bottom, but you can become one hitting the join button down below or on the YouTube channel homepage. Not only do you help keep this mic recording and that camera rolling, but you'll get a ton of bonus content throughout the week. In addition to what you get on the main channel, you'll get player grades, snap counts, film reviews, game watch parties for away games. A lot of fun stuff there for channel members, especially throughout the season. It's Coop says, let's go. We are so back. Hey, love it. Other channel member here, Trey Edwards. Hey, what a game, Trey. I know you were there as well, man. I'm sure you could agree on the atmosphere. What a game indeed. What a day, for sure. WY Man 82 says, Edwards showed a lot last night. Indeed, man. Stepped up big time. Stepped up big time. And, you know, we needed someone to step up a running back, and he did it. And, man, was that not a Rich Rod stat line? Like I said, we'll talk more about the stats and stuff when we do the game review podcast. But, yeah, that's exactly what we needed. And forever a backyard brawl legend now, right? Him and Nico both. Nico for the couple of drives at the end, and him for his performance overall in the entire game. It's Coop Eat Shit Pit. Hell yeah, man. John Kelly, let's go Mountaineers. That's right, John. Appreciate you. Good to see you. Greg Day, piss was so hot last night. I'm on my way to get a new toilet. Hey, I feel you, Greg. I feel you, man. The hot piss is flowing for sure. Hey, and we saw it. We saw it live and in person when you watch that game, right? That's what they're talking about when they say Rich Rod still pisses hot, man. Do you see him after the game? Susie shook Narduzzi's hand, that celebration? Hell yeah. Got me. That's my coach right there. And that post-game interview on ESPN, that's it as well. Matter of fact, we're going to throw that on here. We're going to play that right here before we wrap up, before I catch up on your all's comments, because it deserves some more play time here. Let me find that thing. Where's that post-game interview? Because this right here, this is our football coach. This is the hard edge mentality, and this is what we showcased, and this is why we were able to showcase it, because we got this man leading our boys.
What a scene.
Couldn't have said it any better. Couldn't have said it any better right there. I don't even need to follow that up. Nothing else needs to be said after that one. Let's see. It's Coop said best game since Texas in 2018. Yeah, probably, man. Probably. Probably so. Trey Edwards says, I met both Ren Baker and President Benson yesterday. It was great. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm jealous, dude. I'm jealous. I had a chance to meet up with a few people. I did get a chance to meet up with Coos at halftime. That was pretty awesome, getting a chance to meet up with him there. Pretty good to see him. And we got a chance to chat a little bit. Both agreed Zach Alley's an absolute stud. And glad to see that, you know, a lot of you guys were part of that special atmosphere as well. 62,000 plus strong, and you felt every bit of them. And we were all heard loud and clear. Several false starts on Pitt. They felt that atmosphere, 100%, 100%. Channel member Nate Scott says, let's go. Hey, that's right, Nate. Good to see you, man. Yeah, it's Coop said Holstein said he got punched in the face, yet his helmet didn't come off. Hey, they've never been ones to, you know, spew some stuff, man. You know, they also thought they were going to get hit with batteries and everything else. But I'll tell you what, Holstein was talking about feeding off that hate and feeding off our venom in the crowd and stuff. And guess what? He woke us up instead. And we had you rattled all day, Holstein. That's how it turned out. That's what I'll say to him. That's what I'd say to him. I know he's never going to see this, but that's what I'd say about that. Trey Edwards says, most electric atmosphere I've ever seen since Tennessee versus Alabama when they tore the goal post down. Hey, high praise. It was up there, man. It's an all-timer, an absolute all-timer for sure. He finally got his get back, man. Trey Edwards says, talking about Rich Rod. That's right. Finally got that lick back, man. And you could tell it meant a lot to him, and it meant a lot to me, and I know it meant a lot to a lot of you guys too. W Wildman A2 with a great point here. He already got a signature win. Brown didn't have one in 6 years. You know, it is the truth. Another way that we can talk about this being a cleansing, a complete turning of the program, a complete, you know, exactly what we needed throughout this fan base. Exactly what we needed in this program. Just another thing that goes in line with the theme of everything we're reflecting on here. W Wildman A2 for sure. WVU Chad said, what a game. Let's go. Hey, that's right, WVU Chad. What a game indeed. What a game indeed. Yep, no more 9-13. Number 13-9, just 9-13, the day we beat them. That's right. That's right, 9-13 now. Now we got to come back. Anytime they hit us with 13-9, hey, what about 9-13? Y'all bitches. Eat shit pit, baby. I was so happy, man. I got videos on my phone while we're singing Country Roads recording and then flashing to the pit fans just filing out and then laughing, waving. It was a great day. My gosh, what a day it was. And the fact that this is great too, Trey. Bragging rights for 4 years now. And just he said the same thing I said. That's so funny. I didn't even see you said that also, Trey. When they say 13-9, we say 9-13 now. Bragging rights for 4 years, and happy that Nico and especially Gallagher, who had a good game as well, being from Pennsylvania, they got to win and what's going to be their last chance to play in the Brawl also. That's pretty cool. Morgantown Magic when the sun sets, Nathan says. That's right. That's right. And we had a good bit of it. It's Coop said that Edwards sack, Eddie V sack in overtime, loudest it's been in a long time. I agree, 100%. That's when that pop was amazing, 100%. Let's see. WYMN82, I love our defense, 100%. Got faith in Zach Alley to game plan against anyone. I think they're going to keep us in a lot of games this season. And if our offense can get in rhythm like they did late in that game and continue to fold that in moving forward, who knows what could happen with this team? Who knows? But our defense, I won't count us out of anything with Zach Alley in charge of our defense. It's insane. And that's one thing when I did talk about me and Coos talking about Zach Alley being a stud, we both agreed. It's so impressive and amazing how fast he's been able to get this defense better than it was any time in the past 6 years. And he's done it in 3 games. What's he been here? 7 months, 8 months? Insane, for sure. It's Coop said top 5 defense in the Big 12. Could definitely see it. Hey, speaking of Coos, there he is, hopping in the chat. Good to see you, Coos. What a night, brother. I'm glad to see that Coos agrees on the atmosphere. I think everyone does that I've heard talk about it. It was special. It was special, Coos, for sure. Great to see you too, brother. Great to see you too. And glad to see I wasn't the only one that was dropping a few tears. I wasn't bawling like a baby, like I was negatively after the 07 game that I talked about, but I definitely had a few dropping out. What I'm saying? Had a few come out for sure after that win. Absolutely. And I think it's only right, man. No one's going to judge us for that one. This was emotional. It was a special day. Trey Edwards says that's the loudest eat shit pit I've ever heard. Yeah, it was pretty sweet too, because the other times we played Sweet Caroline, it's been when their fans are still there, and most of them were gone, so there wasn't any let's go pit or whatever they say back to it, going on. It was just straight eat shit pit. And, I knew that they probably weren't going to play it after the third quarter, because I remember Ren Baker talking about it after they played it last time they were here. And he said, you don't want to play it if there's a chance you might lose the game, because you don't want to play it after the third quarter, then go on to lose. And with it being close there, I had a feeling they weren't going to play after the third. But at the end, I was wondering, I'm like, man, are they going to play it? And even after Country Roads ended, I stayed for like a few seconds, like, I guess they're going to play it, and went out. And then it kicked on and I had to run back in. But yeah, I'm so glad that they got a chance to play it. Probably one of the loudest ones I've ever heard as well. Oh, yeah, can't forget that, too. That's a great job by the university as well, playing that clip for those of you. I think they shared it on social media afterwards, but at the game, after they played Country Roads, you guys remember when Rich Rod had the heckler at his opening press conference, and after he cleared out, Rich Rod made the nice thing that got our standing ovation. If any other Pitt fans can leave the building, well, they clipped that, and they played it on the Jumbotron after Country Roads. Any other Pitt fans can leave the building. Oh, man, that was great as well. For sure. All-timer. Good stuff there. Hey, my man Paul in the house. Let's go, Paul. Let's go, man. Feel renewed, man. Feel like a cleansing has happened. Feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders, brother, and I'm sure you do as well, man. Special day. Special win. Means a lot for this program. A lot of us. Means a lot to a lot of us. Coos, Paul, everyone through Mountaineer Nation, man. All of us. My guy Steven in the house too. That's right, Steven. That's right, brother. Man, me and him we were on cloud 9 coming out of that game, 100%, man. I remember after it ended, he's a section over, and just right when it ended, before Country Roads hit in, they were just the fourth down just ended. We just looked over and we just both were just pointing at each other, man. We knew what this meant, man. And I'm sure he had some tears shed in an awesome moment as well. Let's go is right, John Waters. I love the passion you show as well, Paul, as well, man. I know you felt it just as much as I did. I know you did, man. Appreciate that, brother. That's right. We all cried after that one. We all cried. Had to. There's no way I was fighting back those tears. I didn't care if I was there in the stadium in front of people or not at that point, man. I think others around me were too, man. I was high-fiving and hugging people that normally aren't even loud and cheering a lot during the games. They're kind of the quiet people. Even them, man, they were loud up during this one. It was awesome. Yeah, that was a great one too, Nate. I might have to share that one on our review podcast when he had some great moments in his press conference after the game. But Rich Rod's moment talking about the Pitt players getting injured was great. Yeah, he said, "I hope they're okay. Hopefully they have enough players for next game." All that's great for sure. Boiling piss, indeed, Nate, for sure. Olnar Douchey. I see somebody throw that in the chat. What a great nickname for the man. I love to call him that. You guys know, you guys been following. He's been following along for sure. That's right. That's right. Let's see here. That beard grew 10 inches, Paul said. For sure, man. Let's see. We're trying to catch up in the chat here. Y'all been flooding it in. Appreciate y'all. Good turnout for this. People want to celebrate this win, man. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Glad to see some of you all sharing some of your emotions and stuff from the win as well. That's what I was on here to do with this one. Like I said, we'll talk stats, players of the game, reflect on more of the game itself in our review podcast. But this was kind of about more of what it meant to us personally as a fan base, as a program, and definitely, me individually. I wanted to share that story on this one because I felt like, man, that 13-9 shirt moment just really made it for me. Like, all the fate stuff I talked about all off season and then getting to have that moment with that guy in that shirt on that day. Incredible. Incredible. As Drumwolf said, it was destiny for sure. There's no doubt. No doubt. I agree, man. I agree 100%. 100%. Slime says, I was there. Amazing atmosphere. Let's go. Appreciate you, Slime. 100%, man. 100% agree. Pitt has to live with that for 4 years is right. And the perfect quote from Mitz Coop, Mountaineers never quit, from Rich Rod in the great post-game comments we shared there. Appreciate you guys, man, that were in here live. If you're not in here live and you're watching this after the fact, be sure, share your story in the comments. I'm sure you have some emotions tied to this game, your experience, anything you had there. Appreciate those interactions as we continue to try and grow the CRW community throughout Mountaineer Nation. But that being said, guys, I'm going to hop off here, get ready to head to work here in a few, unfortunately, but be recording the review podcast later this evening. Channel members will probably have that live stream, and you guys can come watch as we record that and share some thoughts in there as well. And we'll have that up on the main channel and on all podcast platforms for you guys tomorrow. That's the plan, and we'll talk more about the game itself. But emotional day, amazing day, incredible atmosphere, all-timer, and an impressive and special win in the 108th Backyard Brawl on 9/13. West Virginia gets it done in overtime over Pitt, and it couldn't mean more to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to you guys. But that'll do it for this one. Appreciate you guys as always. And until next time, let's go Mountaineers.